says we're going live.
Really?
It says we're going live. It says we're here.
Are you sure?
We're here exactly on time according to our clock.
Huh, fascinating.
Which feels late to me.
Yeah.
Because I was that person raised with, if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. Because that's not toxic. I think we're here, but I don't know until our existence is validated by others. But I'm going to push forward and assume that we are here. Hello.
Hi, folks.
Kayla Lords.
John Brownstone.
Of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. This is our weekly live stream where we record our audio podcast, available on all podcast apps every Friday, except Stitcher, because it's still being weird. And I keep saying that every time, but it's true. We are not here early. We're, in fact, here. It's now 12:01 as of the time I'm saying these words. We are still going to do a butt rub. If you thought you got out of it this week, you should just fast forward.
Not so lucky.
5 or 6 minutes, not like a crazy long one, but just enough to like ease ourselves in, because I do feel like for the past literal week, I've been running around like my ass is on fire. And I think you have felt that way longer than I have.
Yes.
But I don't feel like we've caught our breath in several days. It's been a wonderful thing. For once, it's not a traumatic reason. But I just need to ease on into this. I need to like take my time. I need to just breathe for a minute.
And I have one more quick thing I need to do because it's going to bug me.
Okay, and I'm going to say hello to folks who were here waiting on us.
But it's going to bug me.
As long as it matters to you. Hi, Tayshu. Hi, Christina. Hi, Little Miss. Hi, Davey. Hi, Rara. I'm scrolling. Hi, Saffy Hawk. Hi, Biggie. Hi, Mr. Spock. Hello, hello.
Hi, folks.
I'm also not wearing makeup today because there just wasn't enough time. There just was not enough time. Hi, Candace.
What is time?
So I feel like I don't look like I have eyeballs. And this is really how red my skin is. And I think the lights are still washing me out a bit. And do I have a mouth? Well, we know I do because I'm using it, but it's not as well defined as it usually is with my matte lipstick. I don't mind. I go makeup less on our like Friday night live streams. Clearly, I'm not afraid to be without makeup in front of a camera, but it is weird for a Wednesday. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It was a pragmatic decision. Mm-hmm. Today's the last day of the Kinkery sale, and so therefore I had to get the last minute promo out, and it just took precedence. So, yeah.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. Tayshu, I feel your wife's pain. Tayshu says, we live in the realm of my wife's anxiety. Can't be too early because it causes anxiety, but can't be on time because it causes the feeling of feeling late anxiety. I kind of feel that way. I am willing to get someplace early to give myself peace of mind that I have found the place and that I can't possibly be late. But if I'm there too early and I'm left just sitting in the parking lot, then I get anxious that I'm the weirdo sitting in the parking lot, and clearly nobody has anything else to do with their time and day. So they're all staring at me while I sit in the parking lot. None of that's true, but tell my anxious mind that. But if I have to pick between time-related anxieties, I will take that weird feeling of, oh my God, I'm clearly too early and I'm the weirdo in the parking lot, over the, oh my God, we're running late anxiety. But if it says anything about my current state of mind, we were hitting go live at noon and I went, well, it is what it is. So it's not with everything.
It's been that kind of day.
It's been that kind of week. So, you know, Mr. Spock, if anybody doubted it, I have questions for them. Hi, Freestyling. So, is it part of the announcements? Oh, we have no links to our shirts because I'm too lazy to go find the the Humanity shirt on T-Turtle for JB's shirt. They were having like a seriously good sales over at T-Turtle. I have not purchased from any of their sales, whatever. And then my shirt was approved by JB because at first I was like, oh, this shirt doesn't apply to me. And then he laughed at me while we were standing in the, let me try this again. I said it Friday. Can I say it today? The Rural King. And then I felt weird going out in public wearing this shirt today because I was like, am I just proclaiming to the world that I'm dramatic? And then I went, wait, I have bright blue hair. They've already assumed that. So the shirt is just confirmation. If you cannot see what the shirt says, it says, so apparently I'm the dramatic one. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. I really don't see it.
Yeah.
Hey, Molly. Hi, Yarn and Whiskey. Hi, Kitty. So, no, I might, this is just a brief thing to say that I could say in the bonus section, but I know I'll forget, and it's top of mind right now. Part of what kind of put me behind this morning of my regular routine, including putting on my whole ass face, was I ended up getting into like an hour and a half, 2 hour conversation with my mom on the phone. It started out as, hey, the 13-year-old wants to take kind of an expensive trip in the new year. Hi, Grandma. And it turned into, we just sort of talked about everything. I heard about my mother writing the appeal for a rezoning of land that is adjacent to her property. I was like, damn, go mama. Okay. And then my mother did my mom is super repressed about stuff. The sex conversation I got as a kid is we don't talk about that. She's not much better now, but she has accepted the fact that I am not so repressed. By sheer force of will at this point. But she is interested in how our shop is doing because she understands retail, 35-year career in retail, literally retired from it. So she's interested in those conversations. So I was telling her, how things were going and blah, blah, blah. And I figured that was it. I kept it very vague. I don't talk about the products we sell. I don't give her the name of the shop. She does not want that information. She turned around and went, don't y'all have a podcast? And next thing you know, I'm talking about logistics of podcasting and how long this podcast has been going on and the live stream impact and why, we grow organically by one kinky person telling another person, except I never used the word kink with her because that was never going to happen. And I was like, what is even happening here? And if you thought I would cut that conversation short to say I needed to put my makeup on, hell no, because she initiated the conversation and seemed genuinely curious, and I went, well, okay. So, hi, C. Stevens. Hi, Puppy. Hi, Bobby. Yeah, I like it when it's a good mom conversation, Tayshu. I don't mind if that goes long. And we ended the conversation with me bragging about the 17-year-old and her being a super proud grandma. So, like, we were both, like, in our happy places. But I did finally look at the time and I went, oh shit, I gotta go. I gotta go work. And she went, okay, I understand. So, but we don't, like, I'm not great at texting even my mother, whom I adore. We have a decent relationship. I'm not good at phone calls. Like, that's not what I use my phone for. So, like, I'm not the only child who's calling on holidays or birthdays. I try to call my mom on her birthday because I figure I should probably do that. So our conversations always run long because they happen at random ass times. Like a Wednesday morning while I was driving to go pick up the project board for the 13-year-old science fair project. That was that conversation. And then it lasted 2 hours. So, okay. I could keep talking. We know this. I really just need to do streams where I just turn it on and we just chit chat because you know how I am.
Just put a camera on you at your desk and let you go.
I have the built-in camera on we could do just hang out with me while I work kind of thing. But then y'all would learn I talk to myself when JB's not in the office. Huh. I have as a long talker to myselfer, I do not do it when others are around. And if I think, now that you have the hearing aids, if I think you can, I remember at times I'm like, oh shit, he might be able to hear. So I can't whisper to myself. I have to mouth the words to myself. Before your hearing aids, I could whisper and you had no clue. You might have heard the whispering, but you wouldn't have been able to make out words. Now with the hearing aids, you could make out words. So I have to go even quieter. Does anybody else do that? Anyway. But so it's now 10 minutes in. 10 o'clock? What? 10 minutes in.
Wow, we're going backwards.
We're super late now, for sure. We've totally pissed somebody off. They'll be fine. Do you have anything you want to add to the butt rub?
No.
Did I suck up all not the conversation, the oxygen?
The yes.
And the conversation.
Yes.
Oh my God. What is happening?
That's okay.
To me?
I was just, while you're going on, I'm just rambling around and wandering and doing a few little odds and ends that I needed to get taken care of.
Yeah, you were like, what live stream? There's a camera on me? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. So before we get into the, let me do the YouTube only announcements.
Right.
One, if I've not scared you off already, good. I'm impressed. If you like what we do here today, please give us a thumbs up. If you like it enough to want to come back for more, please consider subscribing.
And once you subscribe, go ahead and ring the notification bell to get updates of new content.
Ring my bell. I'm not going to sing, but ring my bell.
I know, every time, yeah.
I would not mind having my bell rung. I've been in one of those moods lately. I actually came up to you and gave you a full frontal hug yesterday, and you were like, "You're touching me?"
Right.
Shirts, as we said before, we do not have links to. Mine is from the Rural King. I went on a bit of a shopping frenzy in there. Anyway, this is the last place for me to say it because it won't matter to podcast listeners because it'll be too late. Today, November 30th, the day we're streaming and this video comes out, is the last day of our sale over at the Kinkery, thekinkery.com, JB's shop for his weapons of ass destruction, among other things. 20% off sale tonight, midnight Eastern time, 11:59 p.m. essentially, sale ends. So if you've been eyeing anything and you don't want to pay full price, this is the best sale we run all year long. This is your chance. Kinkery.com. Link is in the description box. Okay. And then was there anything else YouTube only? I don't think so. You can hit the button.
Okay, I can hit the magic button.
Okay, so before we get into what will probably be a very chaotic topic, I'll tell you why when I get through this. We do have one announcement, and that is this week's episode is sponsored by Elegantly Owned, owned by Tayshu, one of our favorite human beings, and also our favorite collar company. If you've ever seen a picture of the collar that I wear and gone, oh my god, I love your collar, it's from Elegantly Owned. Shops on Etsy. Link is in the places. You can get collars in a variety of styles and colors, and then the lockets come in a variety of colors if they have resin on them. And this thing holds up in the shower. It's for all that it's. I would call it kind of thick. I have the Byzantine style. I'm trying to remember that, Tayshu. You'll be proud of me. I can't wear it at night because I have an anxiety thing about anything around my neck. However, this is one of the lightest, air quote this word, larger collars I've ever worn. I've worn a style similar to this prior to having this one from Elegantly Owned.
Correct.
And it was heavier. This is a very lightweight collar. It stands up to everything I have put it through, the shower, sleeping in it till I learned I just can't sleep in a collar, all kinds of stuff. So durable, all that good stuff. Love this collar. Every once in a while I'm tempted with a new heart lock, because of the resin colors and the styles that Tayshu sometimes does them in. But so far I'm like, I'm sticking with this one for right now. And yes, it's not even fully purple for anybody who's actually seen it, and I fucking love it. So take a look at Elegantly Owned, whether you're looking for a collar like now or later and you're shopping ahead. But if you're shopping now, there's coupon code. Code is Loving BDSM, all one word. You save 10% if you use that. If the code is available through December 10th. Here's the cool thing. There's another sale going on at Elegantly Owned, and you can still use the coupon code, and so you save a little extra because you're a fucking cricket, and there's some perks to being a cricket, is all I'm saying, okay? And if you don't know what a cricket is, hang around a little bit longer, you'll find out. You must be new here if you don't know yet. And that's okay. We like new people. Anyway, Elegantly Owned, link in the places, on Etsy. I don't know with the holidays if custom orders are available, but you can always reach out to Tayshu and like start that conversation and see what's what. But yeah, highly recommend. Love my collar. Adore Tayshu. There we go. Thank you, Elegantly Owned, for sponsoring this week's episode. So I need to take a breath before we get started because podcast listeners did hear because we had our own little intro, and normally I try to keep the intro to like 2.5 minutes, and it went long.
Yes,
and
it
then
did.
YouTube folks have figured it out very quickly. I said it before, and I'm gonna say it again, and it'll probably keep coming up. I feel like we haven't taken a deep breath in the past several days for good reasons. I will babble about those in the bonus section. But it's like, here's how chaotic it has been. We did not know until about an hour before we sat down to record what the hell we were talking about. And here's what's funny. I know what we're talking about in December. I've had those mapped out for months, and a smarter person than me, a saner person than me, a more mentally healthy person than me might have said, well, why didn't you just bump one of those topics? No, those topics were assigned for those dates. That's their dates. They can't be moved. I'm so sorry. That's not how this works here. I'm so sorry. You must be new. So we came up with a topic very late, and I feel good about the topic. I think it's an interesting topic, but also I think it's going to be chaotic. So if the chaos annoys you, this might be one to skip, is all I'm saying. But if the chaos annoys you, you probably noped out about 10 minutes ago. So it's fine. It's fine.
It's always chaotic around here. It just may be a little bit more so than normal.
It's a different kind of chaotic, and it's a good chaotic, and I'm not actually complaining about it. I just am kind of like, why does my heart feel like it's pounding through my chest right now? Oh, I think I forgot to breathe again. I'm not having a heart attack, y'all. I promise. So what we're talking about is actually something that is probably going to come up here and there in 2023 as well, because we are in the midst of and coming up on significant dates in our relationship that it's the decade mark. So December 23rd is the 10-year anniversary of when we've actually had legitimate conversations with one another. But and we will be on our break December 23rd and hopefully remember the significance of that day for one another on that day and do a little something. I don't know. Some years we're good about it. Some years we're not. But this time frame that we're in right now, end of November going into December, we were, air quote this word, meeting one another through the comment sections of our individual blogs.
Correct.
I had gone through my first and hopefully only DS breakup, and was like heartbroken and emoting all over the place. And you were doing funny things on your blog, but you were leaving supportive comments on my blog. And so this is when our first, at the 10-year mark, start. And into next year, there's March, where that's the 10-year anniversary of the day we've like physically laid eyes on one another, met in our first scene. And then, as we go along. So we may have more of these types of conversations as significant dates come up, because the way we've titled this is what we've learned in 10 years about each other and ourselves and all that. There's so much we could not possibly cover it all in 10 years. I don't think there's like a theme to this one, because that would be too organized. And this is just like the first things that are coming to mind when I started thinking about it. And it's little things, and it's long-term relationship things. And some things are significant, but not so significant like they're life-changing, but like we've learned these things and they've helped make our relationship better or our communication better. So we're just going to kind of chaotically share some of these things until basically we run out of steam. And the thought I had in having this conversation this week was for people who are getting into their first kink relationships or kind of new to the kink world, to kind of see what one couple's experience can be long term. I mean, it's going to be unique to everybody, of course. And then for people who are in established, maybe power exchange relationships, or just established in power exchange and kink, and, don't really think about this stuff on a daily basis, maybe, especially if you have a partner currently, something to think about for yourself and maybe how it might apply to your own relationship. So I'm going to try and take a deep breath. I'm going to take a little sip of coffee here. So let's start kind of going back and forth with things that we've learned. Okay. Do you have something you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Okay.
I think the first thing that I learned that I have to say from our relationship was, there was a time I thought high protocol and old guard was it. That's what DS was. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you were deviating from that, you were doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. And I learned that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Especially that first time you called me daddy.
Right? I mean, that was after several weeks of kind of going, are you sure? Are you sure you're not a daddy? Because you're giving off daddy vibes here. Yeah. I mean, we advocate for trying to take a mindful approach to shifts and changes in a power exchange relationship, but we are also people who have made shifts and changes in a very organic, may I say, chaotic way. And fortunately for us, it's mostly worked out well. I think it's because when we've gone on instinct, me calling you daddy in the middle of sex was an instinctual, something about this feels so right. I could be wrong, but something feels right. And I went with it. And I think that rightness came in part because even up to that point, we'd only been together. I mean, I was still living in the townhouse up in Fort Walton Beach in the panhandle of Florida. So we weren't even moved in together yet. It was still relatively fresh in our relationship, but we had such good, clear communication even to that point, and it wasn't as good then as it is now.
Right.
That I kind of felt safe going out on that limb and saying, okay, this is what feels right. And even if I'm wrong, and this was not a conscious thought I had in the moment we were fucking, and I was like, I gotta call him daddy because that's the word that I cannot stop thinking. But later when I kind of thought about it, it was sort of even if you had rejected that, I knew it would ultimately be okay. That you might have gone, whoa, no, let me call Red here, time out, what the fuck? I think I understood even then that we could work through that. So it gave me a sense of security and safety to go ahead and do the thing I was feeling, even though I could not at all know exactly how you would react. But my intuition was definitely going, if I'm feeling it, I think it's okay. Yeah. And prior to that moment, had certainly had moments like that in all kinds of relationships with other people, both romantic and sexual and platonic and familial and all that. But I didn't usually act on that because I think I either didn't have that sense of security and safety or I didn't have that level of communication where I kind of understood that even if I was wrong, it would be okay. From very early on in our relationship, I've never felt judgment from you. Like I mean, you accept all of what this is now that we present on camera and into microphones every week, mostly without batting an eye. I'm more than I was in the beginning because I'm less inhibited with you. But once we hit a certain comfort level, I lost a lot of my inhibitions with you.
The floodgates opened.
And you haven't run screaming yet.
No, I haven't. I mean, that is a conversation probably between you and a therapist one day about why that is. But doing that. The textbook kind of thing would be to, have this conversation outside of sex in a calm time and kind of blah, 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 and that is good advice, and we give that advice. But you learning in that moment that DS is not what you thought it was, right? Because I decided to call you daddy when you were funking me. You cannot plan for those things. I cannot put that in a workbook for you. I don't know how to tell you to get that. Yeah. But it goes back to the fact that you were open to both communicating with me and sharing your thoughts and feelings, but also listening to me. So I could do that with you and it was safe. Right. And I learned that very early on with you. I didn't think about it in those terms at the time. So my thing that I've learned kind of piggybacks off of that is that when your person is a safe person to be who you are, that doesn't mean they don't disagree with you. He gets mad at me, y'all. He gets pissed, and I hate it. It brings me back to childhood stuff every time. I'm working through it. It doesn't mean he agrees with me. It doesn't mean he, like, it doesn't mean that none of the, air quote this word because this is subjective, the negative outcomes aren't there. But it means that I have learned, because you're that safe person and you accept me as I am, that I can say things and be things and do things with you, to you, with you, in front of you, that to this day I would not do in front of other people or with other people. I don't know that they're safe. I don't know that they're going to be mostly judgment free. And I say mostly judgment free because let's be real. Should we all go around judging one another? No. Do we in our heads quietly? Of course we do. Okay. However, even when you think that what I've done is the weirdest fucking shit you've ever seen or heard in your life, and your face clearly screams, what the actual fuck are you doing? And who the hell are you? That judgment is never judgy judgment. I never feel belittled. I never feel less than. I never feel diminished because you're like, what the actual fuck? I feel like because of how you react and respond, I can laugh about, this is me. Hi. And then usually once your brain wraps around whatever the insanity is, you tend to embrace it. Now, I'm curious, in all these years, 10 years, do you embrace it because you genuinely like enjoy it, or because you kind of go, there's no changing it now?
I'm along for the ride.
I have one, and it's the one that made me come to you and go, I want to have this conversation. And because it's not today. This morning was not the first time it's happened, and not even the 10th time it's happened. It's probably the 100th time. And every time it happens, I go, wow, 30-something year old me would never have thought that this was even a thing you could do. So long-term relationships, you learn each other's tells. You learn each other's responses. You kind of can predict with fair accuracy how a person's going to respond to a thing you're about to say, because if it's the type of conversation you've had for us for 10 years, we're humans. We're mostly predictable. And JB has some initial responses to things that for different reasons, like, I don't react well to it. It either stresses me out as his submissive. It stresses me out as a recovering people pleaser. It upsets me because I feel like he's already jumped to the worst conclusion, but give me a second, I'll give you a possible solution. Like, when I come to you with things, especially if I'm presenting problems, 95% of the time, I'm coming with solutions too, right? You can reject my solutions, but I'm coming with solutions because we've done the episode on fixing. If there's a problem, I'm going to try and fix it. But what'll happen, y'all notice I take pauses mostly to get a gulp of oxygen in so I can keep talking real fast. What'll happen is I'll start speaking to JB about something, and there'll be a comma or a semicolon in the sentence I'm trying to say. I don't say comma or semicolon, but the pause is there with the understanding in my mind that there's more coming. Just let me take a breath. Yes, I do breathe when I speak. I know that's hard to imagine. What happens though is if I need to tell him something not so great that is going to elicit a negative initial response, that sigh is one. There's another, and podcast listeners, I'm so sorry you can't like see this. He does this slump thing where his eyes close and his face grimaces and his shoulders slump, and you think you've just told him, like,
here we go again.
Right. And something about their response, because of the stuff that I go through and have gone through in my life and the things I need to work on, like, it sets me on edge or it causes stress. So here's the thing I've learned. It's a long way to tell y'all this story. I think I've learned in 10 years. If I anticipate that'll be the reaction, to keep the lines of communication open, to keep my own stress level down, and because I'm a people-pleasing kind of girl, to hopefully keep his stress level down, I start the conversation before I tell him what I gotta tell him. Like, look, I gotta tell you something. What I need you to do is to please don't, and then have this reaction. Please don't sigh. Please don't do the slump.
Yeah.
Please don't
You'll
look
say,
disgusted.
Hear it all the way out first.
Hear me all the way out before you respond and react. Now, sometimes I'm asking for a Herculean effort. Like, we're humans. Sometimes we have initial gut responses. But I have learned that I know which of your responses will, like, throw me off, I know which of your responses you're most likely to have.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that if I ask you to take a pause, to stop and think for a moment, you will hear me all the way out, think, and then have a response.
True.
Now, if I did that in every fucking conversation, that would get old real quick, and it wouldn't work, and it wouldn't be effective. But I have now, in the past 3 days, done that no less than 4 times. And it hits me every single time that I have learned it about me. I've learned stuff about you. I'm now taking that information and going, how do I make this a better situation for all of us and still have clear, effective communication? Because the times when our connection, not our relationship, but our connection to one another breaks down is when communication breaks down. When we're talking at one another and not listening to one another, or giving the other space to explain themselves because we're tired or we're frustrated or we're stressed or we're freaked out or whatever. And when the thing I've learned to do after all these years, and again, it goes back to feeling safe to do it because you allowed me to do it the first time and you responded to it. I asked you for a thing. Hey, before you give me this reaction I think you're about to give me, hear me all the way out. And I remember the first time I did it because you looked at me like, what? And then you took it in and did it.
Yeah.
And it was a better conversation. Because sometimes what will happen is I come with an issue, semicolon, a possible solution. His initial negative response to hearing the problem, but not the solution, will throw me so off and stress me out. We're now arguing when I actually had a solution. What are we doing? 10 years ago, me, 33-year-old me, could never, had no clue that was an option. Certainly not as a submissive to a dominant partner. Never could have known that. Never could have known that. Okay, your turn. What have you got?
Okay. This is really going to sound funny, folks. But as much as I talk about patience and how she needs to be patient,
Patience is no fun.
one thing I have learned over the years, I need to exercise patience as much as anyone.
The day I learned you were not infinitely patient
Right.
blew my fucking mind.
I
Because
know it did.
in the power exchange, certainly in the bedroom, you appear to have infinite patience. I don't know if you really do or you're just a really good actor. I don't care. And it's hot and it's kinky and it's great. And you had patience, extreme patience, as we developed our relationship early days. You stayed extremely patient. And I just thought that's who he is. And 80% of the time, that's exactly who you are. You're very patient because I hate to say the term mild-mannered because it's usually kind of used as a pejorative or a negative. But you're not walking around slamming fucking doors and yelling at folks and cussing. You're calm, you're quiet, you're patient. And I fucking love that about you because I am none of those things. But it did blow my mind the day I finally went, oh my God, he's not always patient. Because your impatience makes me impatient. Your impatience, and I don't know how much of this is childhood trauma and how much of this is being in our power exchange. Sometimes the threads are too intertwined. I cannot pull these apart. So we just kind of go, it's all of it. When you get impatient about something, my service self is desperate to fix it for you. But my pragmatic self will always win and knows that certain things you're impatient about, I cannot fix. And so then I am frustrated and you are frustrated and now we're frustrated together and we're probably snapping at one another. Because, but it did blow my mind the first time. I don't remember what it was you were feeling impatient about. I cannot remember. I remember laughing my ass off because I went, wait, hold on. Hold up.
Yeah.
All the lectures I get about being impatient and look at you over here, Mr. Impatient. It was delightful, but it also, over time, because I internalized that kind of stuff,
Well,
it can be stressful.
That came with the territory. Early on, I told you, do not put me on a pedestal. Okay? I said, because I am only human, and I am going to, you put me up there, I'm going to fall.
I don't know. And we have a couple times talked about, not in great detail, the time you fell from the pedestal that I did not think you were on. And you admitted unprompted you had fucked up. And in the moment you admitted you had fucked up, y'all, like said, I will never do that thing, and then did that thing. I had to make split-second decisions of how am I going to handle it, as internally my brain is going, what the fuck just happened here? JB doesn't do this. That's not who he is. Except it is who he is, because we are all, you know, a million shades of gray, not just 50. And with everybody has multitudes within them, and we are all capable of both the best and the worst, and then everything in the middle. So of course you were that person, but my brain went, he's not that person. But you were that person, not that you fucked up, because everybody fucks up, but that you immediately did the right thing, and you confessed, and you apologized. I mean, it was during a stressful moment in your life, so it was also understandable. It did not impact the function of our relationship. It was more of a very minor breach of trust. That's a thing I've learned in 10 years. I was, partly because of piss poor relationships I had been in prior to our relationship, I was very black and white on how I would respond to broken trust. And broken trust comes in a variety of flavors, from the white lie that somebody said because they didn't know what else to say and they got nervous and were afraid, all the way to the bald-faced lies that irreparably kill a relationship and you cannot come back from. And prior to our relationship, I was very much, I don't care what it is. If I can't trust you, I can't trust you. That's it. Done. Because I got trust issues. You spent several months working through my trust issues. I mean, we were seeing and meeting up, and I was still going, but we're not in a relationship. And everybody around me is like, what? I'm like, Anyway, that moment when you fell from your pedestal was a moment I had to weigh what could have on paper been, breach of trust. He said he'd never do this. For 5 seconds, you lied and said, I'm definitely not. And I went, I'm not a fucking idiot. And you went, okay, I definitely am. I had to weigh the white lie that didn't actually harm anything, that came from a place of fear, versus my stance on all lies everywhere all the time. And it was a pivotal moment, because I had to see something in a much more nuanced way than I had before. And it weighed on me for a while, because I was like, bitch, you don't let anybody lie to you but one fucking time. And I think from that moment, I walked away from it, and I was on guard for a little bit. Like, is this a new pattern? Is this something like happen? No, you have been who you always are. The one thing I'll say for you is you don't give me white lies anymore.
True.
You will do, I won't even call it a lie of omission, because you know how I feel. I don't like those either. Just fucking tell me the hard thing. Let's move on. Right. You will put me off, though. Your health issues recently, I knew something wasn't right. Like, don't play with me. Don't fuck with me. Please, I know you better than you know you. If I could, I know every cellular part of you internally. It's just not physically capable. I don't have the magic school bus, okay, to get inside you. So, and if anybody gets that reference, we're buds. Anyway, but I know you so well. When your health was affecting you and you weren't talking about it, the one thing you never did was bold-faced lie. You just went, I'm feeling stressed, or I'm worried, but I'm not ready to talk about it. Or, yeah, I'm off. I'm not exactly sure. And you weren't exactly sure.
Right.
But those kinds of untruths, for me, after all these years, do not rise to the level of, I cannot trust this person. He is no longer safe. They are, oh my God, what the fuck is he afraid of? And why is he being afraid with me? I'm going to kick his ass. I'm not really, but I'm going to want to, and I'm going to talk big game, and I'm going to, low key, in a loving way, bully the fuck out of you until you tell me. On paper, it would not seem healthy, but we make it work for us. It also, on paper, probably does not sound very power exchangey. That's not very subby of me. I get it, but also, I can't serve somebody who drops dead in front of me because he don't tell me shit. So, but yeah, I mean, that was a weird awakening that happened fairly early. We weren't married yet, but has evolved over time, so that I do not accept lies from you.
Right.
But I'm much more understanding of your human frailties and shortcomings and the things
humanness.
like you're not on the pedestal anymore, but also I won't let you get away with shit either. Like I am quick on the draw if I think that you're trying to spare me something because you are afraid of something, whether it's not the outcome, not my reaction. That first time you were afraid of my reaction. Now I think you're afraid of either your worry might be true and or that you're going to send me into a spiral of either activity or anxiety, and you're trying to protect me. And if you did it all of the time, this relationship couldn't survive because that's too much. But it's almost like you dole it out, not purposefully, but it's like it's one time every 2 or 3 years. Well, okay, it's fine. So let me think of another thing. Or do you have another thing?
I think the other things I've learned in throughout our relationship is how much empathy plays a big part in DS.
Oh, because it plays a big part in every human relationship, but sure.
Well, yes. I mean, yes, it does play a big part in the relationship. But, there was a time, you read erotica, you watch, movies, and you look at how things are done, going back years ago in the High Protocol and the Old Guard, and there did not appear to be much empathy at play in there, and how untrue it is, and a lot of people kind of make it. Well, I mean, it was even there was a time. I met a number of people in the lifestyle when I first, started coming into the community. Oh, you cannot love your DS partner.
Even when I first started coming, I was still hearing that a little bit of, there should not be love in your power exchange.
Love and power exchange do not go hand in hand.
You can't love somebody you dominate. You can't love somebody you submit to. Or a submissive was allowed to love, but it would be unrequited. It would be from afar. It would be tragic and heartbreak. Even in 2012, there was still rumblings of that I was hearing. I hope most of us have evolved from that since then.
And I mean, I've definitely, learned that empathy plays a big part in any DS relationship.
Absolutely, because empathy is just it's a good skill to have as a human being, because if you can imagine what somebody might be going through, you can be understanding of what they're going through and where they're at. That doesn't negate consequences for certain things, but to have empathy means that you're not going to just hit me as hard as you can because you can. You're going to factor in, well, how does she feel about that?
Right.
What's good to her? What's not good to her? What is she willing to handle? What can she handle? And when you start with empathy, in just specifically, we're not even talking about relationships, just specifically play, like, because we play with pain and other sensations. When you start with empathy, that's how somebody over time can then trust you to stretch those boundaries. Because I know that you're not trying to hurt me just because you can, or you're not trying to do this thing because you can, but also because maybe it's what I want as well.
Correct.
I mean,
correct.
Yeah, the fantasy erotica, especially of the cold dominant, like there's in scene for about 5 minutes. I'm good with that. Like, could I even do a whole ass scene with that? Probably. But one, it would only happen because I know who you really are, and I would know that even as you're play acting that, you're still taking my needs, wants, desires, blah, 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 feelings, all of that into account. And two, I know we're going to end with some serious aftercare where you're like, no, my precious baby, I love you.
Right.
I think you're amazing. It's fine. And I would get all of the affirmations and the reminders that I need that, no, you're not actually this cold, unfeeling person.
Yeah.
The fantasy of it in play is hot. The living with it day to day where you're basically running up against a brick wall of somebody who refuses to understand you and empathize with you. No, that's not sustainable within a relationship. It's just, and I don't care if we're talking a romantic, a sexual, or a platonic relationship. It doesn't matter. That's not sustainable in a relationship for somebody to not be able to, but to refuse to empathize or to try to understand or to connect on that level. Like, it's just, no, it's not going to work out past a certain point. Never. I have definitely learned things that we've talked about since we started the podcast is everything I've learned. But the good reminder that I want to believe that 32, 33-year-old me knew, but didn't. I think I knew it academically, and I didn't know it in my heart and soul, is that no matter what my power exchange looks like, what my kinks look like, there are as many different ways to experience kink and power exchange and pleasure and pain as there are people experiencing all of that. It is that nuanced. So what you and I put together for ourselves and go, this is what our power exchange is, this is how we play in kink, this is what we do. It might be something that we show as an example, but it is never the one way to play. And I know that. Like, I know that, and I really know it now after all these years.
Yeah.
But the fun / interesting thing is being reminded of it. And I know it, and I still forget it. And what I mean by that is, we were at the Woodshed a couple weeks ago, and there's so many different types of kinksters and ways of expressing kink and age ranges and just types of people. And I it, but sometimes you have to go see it to really
for it to kind of hit home.
Right. And it was fun and exciting because it's like, that's right, my little bubble is not the only little bubble. But I know that the shock to my system of figuring out there's all these different ways and all these different types of people, and it's so unique for everybody, like baby kinkster me 10 years ago was much more internally shocked when I was reminded of it. And now it's this really pleasant, it's a pleasant reminder. That's right. Look at the breadth of humanity we have here. Look at all these different styles. Look at I don't always understand people when I mean by understand is I understand the words they're saying. I acknowledge who they are, but I can't relate to everybody's kink experience. And also that's okay.
Right.
For younger me, pre-kink me, if I couldn't relate to it, I just didn't get it, right? I would say a not uncommon, extremely privileged, very immature kind of way of looking at things. And now I'm actually really curious and interested when I can't relate, because I'm I would like to learn more about that, please and thank you. Because I still can't relate, and I don't have to relate, but it adds to the width and breadth and depth of my understanding of humans and kink and how we relate, and it's fascinating.
I think for me, and along the lines of what you were just talking about, we often talk about how kink is a spectrum, and there's no right way to do it, wrong way to do it. You express it for what works for you. And, I think I see things a little bit more than you do because, I'm the one.
You're our social butterfly.
Bouncing around online somewhere. And for me, it's, we do tend, because of the way our lives are structured, we do tend to spend a good amount of our time here at home, not just having our relationship, but working and such,
right.
That, you don't see it. And for me, being at the Woodshed and seeing that, they're in person, it was refreshing.
It was refreshing is the right word. It was refreshing.
Yeah.
I easily forget how invigorating it can be.
Yeah. I mean,
to be around community
you get a little bit of it at a munch.
And the munches for me have been so overwhelming, I'm not getting any of it right now at munches.
You get a little bit of at a munch, but because it's in a vanilla setting, you know it's kind of there, but it's
people
not
temper
as
themselves
prominent.
And they kind of
and
watch
they kind
the
of temper.
space.
But being at the Woodshed where everybody could just be who they are, you know, it was very refreshing and nice to see it.
And that's a vibe in and of itself when you know you're in a space where you can just be exactly who you are.
Right.
And that obviously relates specifically to your kinks and maybe your kink identity or whatever. But I found it true. We were just setting up. They played some music over the speakers that was like fun and whatever. And I know it's hard to believe when you're here in this space with us, but I tend to be fairly reserved in public, was setting up our table and I'm dancing. Not well, y'all. No. The one thing I did stop myself from was singing because people should consent to that level of pain. But it's because I knew this was a safe place.
Right.
Like it's not always 100% of the time universally safe for every individual because individuals are interacting. But in general, this is a place where you're supposed to just be who you are. And I was my baby girl self.
You were.
Until I got to be my carnival barker, sell all the tickets kind of self. Tickets being code for all the product. But, you know, like then I got into performance mode and that was different. But yeah, that vibe it's easy to forget.
Yeah.
And it's some of my, not all of, but some of my most formative BDSM memories and experiences happened in kink spaces. I became almost instantly, it was sort of a weird shift, comfortable getting nearly naked in a semi-public space known as a BDSM dungeon after my first experience in a BDSM dungeon where I watched people of all body types and all body sizes just basically mostly stripped to mostly nude, and I went, well shit, I look like that. And I'm watching not in judgment of their body because that wasn't the thing I was watching. I was watching the bondage scene or whatever, and could I be a person who walks up to a St. Andrew's cross and literally just takes off most of her clothes, regardless of who's watching, had I not had that first experience? No. Had I never got into a dungeon, at this point, I mean, my personality might be solidified at this point. Might never happen. I don't know. But it might also happen because that's the other thing I've learned, which is there hasn't been an age yet where I haven't learned something. I've been able to expand my understanding of things and grow a little bit and find a certain comfort level in trying new things. That's a huge thing with kink. It is very easy for anybody in or out of kink to stay in one spot and do the same thing and never deviate for all kinds of reasons, you know, both understandable and less than understandable.
And that's absolutely fine. If
right.
Yeah.
As long as you're happy with that.
Exactly.
But kink is also the place where you can, if you choose to, constantly learn new things. Constantly. Because you're either learning about new people, you're learning new kinks, you're learning new ways to do old kinks, you're learning about new products or toys or pervertibles to use, or because you have the ability potentially, if you're out in the kink community, to be around so many different types of people, you're learning all the things you could do that might not even be about kink. Would we be kinky business owners if not for some of our experiences in kink? Not just the we like kink. Fuck, I don't know. And shit, some of the shit I learned about business, I learned from other kinksters who are also running like, it's just, if you are open to it and willing to do it and can do it, because there are lots of reasons people might want to learn things and do that, be that way, and they can't. Like, you can go your whole life and never stop learning and growing. Even on the subtlest, smallest details, there's something to learn.
And that's absolutely true. And that's something I think, you know, about what has happened. I mean, I've always been a curious George, so to speak, you know, because even before I met you, I attended, you know, different workshops and went to a number of different munches. But, you know, any more so, it's kind of been a given. You know, I want to soak it up. I think one of the funniest things is, you know, I have, you know, attended like different 101 workshops, and you're like, why are you attending a 101? You know,
you could teach this 101 workshop.
Know, and it's because everybody who teaches something like that, you know, while there may be overlapping similarities, they bring their own perspective to it, and there always will be this at least one or two nuggets of, oh yeah, you can do that,
Right. Or I never thought about
or I
that.
never thought about doing it this way, or that's a new technique I didn't know. So there's always something to be gained. There's always something to be learned.
Absolutely. Like we've learned in the past 10 years.
All right.
Me segueing.
Right.
I'm trying to think. I would like to because we could go on forever. Y'all know. But I'd like to kind of wrap up, if we can, with one more thing each of what we've learned that's maybe specific to either ourselves as individuals or us together, or no, let's do this because this is where I started with this.
Oh goodness.
What's something you've learned about me in 10 years? Also, I'll tell you what I just learned. On these IKEA chairs that have holes in them that look like Legos on my thighs when I get up, they make popping sounds when I shift my thigh. That was just...
Because you're releasing from the...
Yeah. That has nothing to do with the episode, but that is a thing I learned today.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you learned anything about me in the past 10 years?
I have learned that you are a force to be reckoned with.
You're going to make me blush. Stop. Don't be nice to me.
Okay, you're a horrible...
No, don't be mean to me. Don't be mean to me.
No, you are a force to be reckoned with, because when you set your mind and set your sights on something, you do whatever it takes to get there. And even if it doesn't seem possible, you try to find a way to do it.
Yeah, that's probably not healthy, but okay.
And, over the course of the 10 years that we've been together, while there are times I've had to temper you.
Yeah, I don't like that.
For the most part, I think that is an amazing trait that you have. I mean, I would have never, when we met 10 years ago and started talking, would I have ever thought that I would be sitting in front of a microphone and a camera talking about kink and relationship, and the rest of my time spent making weapons of mass destruction?
Certainly not at the level that I'm demanding you make them right now.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, probably not.
So, yeah, it's...
And see, we could not do any of those things if we weren't doing them together.
True.
I mean, I have my talents and strengths and abilities, but the things you do are the things you need to be the one doing. And so I could have all these ideas, and believe me, prior to knowing you, early in our relationship, up until we finally went, yeah, let's do this thing that we're doing now, as you well know, I was filled with ideas and no place to direct them.
Right.
Like just constant noise in my head of all these things I could be doing. And no...
That hasn't changed.
That hasn't really changed. Right now I'm just too busy to think about things, which is, I don't like that either. Got to find the middle ground. But, I can have all the ideas in the world. I can have all the drive in the world. But I needed to find the right partner who happened to be a romantic, sexual, power exchange partner, but also business partner, friend, all of that, who could do the part I couldn't do. Like, God knows we're still learning. We're real imperfect at it. And there have been some midnight conversations lately of what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, but we do it together.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and this is not my thing I'm going to say about you, but this is a thing I've also learned. You and I, not because Kayla Lords and John Brownstone individually are these unique, special snowflake, the most special, unique people ever who only we could do this, but you and I, because of the nature of our relationship, the level of communication we put into it, the trust we've formed, the bond we've formed, we are better together than apart. We are perfectly fine as unique, whole-ass individuals. I am my own person. You are your own person. But on the things that are right for us, when we come together, we're better as a unit.
True.
And I think I was feeling that early on. I think I understood that to some extent when we started the process of moving in together. Because that was the very first time in our, at that point, 14-month relationship, give or take, that we had decided on a goal that we wanted to achieve together.
Correct.
Then we divvied out the parts that had to be done. And so you had your separate things to do and I had my separate things to do. And we had to come together periodically. At that point, it was virtually come together because while we were moving in and going through that whole process, we didn't visit one another. That sucked. But we had to go off separately and do what was our responsibility and periodically come back together to report in, to get feedback, to go, I have run into a problem. What do you want to do?
Right.
And we had to achieve this goal together. And that was, for all that it was a big, huge, scary thing, I picked up my life and my 2 children and moved several hundred miles away to live with a man I never lived with, live in a town I never lived in, live a type of life I had never lived. And yet it was probably the least stressful move or relationship change I've ever made in my life. Now, at the time, could I have communicated we are better together? We make each other better when we're, doing stuff together. No, but I know that now.
Right.
And so I know that for all the ups and downs of the shit we've been doing for the past couple years, especially business-wise, being self-employed, as difficult as it is, never would have gotten this far without you. You couldn't have gotten this far without me. It had to be the 2 of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to tell you what I've learned about you. And you said really nice things, and here I am. I'm probably going to sound like a shitty person, and I don't mean to because I say it all with love. Here's the thing I've learned about you. And I knew this, but there's a difference between knowing something intellectually and knowing it because you live it every moment. So you've never been the type of dominant who's the cold, unfeeling, emotionally distant. I couldn't have been with a person like that. I tried that. That very first relationship, it was hot and sexy. It would never have lasted long term. I can't, if we can't be goofy and silly together as well, if the dynamic can't fit within all the parts of our personalities, then I know now it's never going to work. But here's the thing. I have learned, and I've known it now for several years because we've lived together since 2014. But maybe it's because of the long-term relationship. Maybe it's because even when we first moved in together, there were parts of you that weren't quite comfortable always being seen in the same way that they are now because it's been so many years. I've always known that you had emotions. You're an empathetic person. You're humble. You're kind. You're nice. You're a good human being. You're curious intellectually and otherwise. All of those things. Here's the thing that I did not know until a certain point in our relationship. I don't remember when, and I've continued to learn ever since. You are and I say this in a good way. It's not negative. You are an extremely emotional creature. You cry at sad movies. You can laugh until you almost make yourself sick. You have a level of empathy that I consider myself a relatively empathetic person. Nah, I'm a cold-hearted bitch compared to you and your empathy. And that should not be a revelation that John Brownstone, dominant, husband, woodworker, kinky person, whatever, is emotional. But one, we do not talk about men's emotions as often as we should in a patriarchal society. And also, men have emotions. We all know this, but the most prevalent one most of us are most familiar with is anger, which apparently society treats as if it is not an emotion. You get angry. You absolutely get angry. You were also one of the first people I was close to in this way, live with, spend day to day with, whose, Lola agrees, whose anger was still a safe anger. You are in touch with your emotions until you decide to live in denial and I call you out on it. He does that too, y'all. You can get angry and it not be terrifying for the person on the other end, and it not be toxic, and it can be irrational because everybody can be, and I'll be the first one to call you on your irrational bullshit. I love you, mean it. But you are, more so than men that have been a part of my life in the past, very in tune and in touch with your emotions. Now, you'll do the typical, I don't know if it's a guy thing or a human thing or a both thing. You'll do the I shouldn't feel this way. and then I'll do some therapy speak I learned in therapy 5 years ago or something and tell you to stop doing that. But you are not afraid to show your emotions. You are not afraid of your emotions. And yet you do not allow your emotions to overwhelm you to the point that you cannot continue to be who you are. You know what I mean? Like, you have all the reasons in the world that you could have ended up differently. You've had the traumatic experiences. God knows, some family stuff. And I know part of it is a little bit of sheer luck that you adapted in such a way that we're not undoing toxic stuff like other people have to undo toxic stuff. I also think maybe it's a benefit that I met you later in life, because 20s you was probably vastly different than 50s you.
Yes.
Right. I'm making an assumption here, but I feel like it's a safe assumption, that in the time prior to me knowing you, whatever the work was you needed to do, and maybe you didn't do the work, as we tend to call that emotional healing and labor, the way that we talk about doing it now, But from outside looking in, knowing what I know about your life before me, you should be a bigger asshole than you are. And you have definitely done the work, capital T, capital W, the work on yourself. And it comes through in your relationship now. Now, I don't know how much of that work is just you got old enough to go, I don't give a fuck, I'm just going to be who I am, I've got nothing to prove anymore. But a huge draw for me to you, and I have found many other people to you, is that you don't walk around like you've got something to prove to anybody. That for the insecurities that I know you have, outward appearances, you're secure in yourself. You will cry at the sad movie. You will cry at the funeral. You will laugh till you make yourself sick. You will have the full, expanse of human emotion, and let trusted people see that. And you don't pretend otherwise. You're every once in a while, and it is a source of an argument for us. Every once in a while, old habits die hard, and you try to be big and tough at a time. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? A family member, a loved one just died. You cry. What the fuck? Don't pretend with me. But I've also learned, again, we go back to safety. I can say that to you. And you will listen to me. Like,
imagine that.
Imagine that. And for all that I tease you, because I'm a Scorpio bitch who's like, why are we crying? It's just kittens.
Right.
Never mind, 5 minutes from then, I will cry over something. Whatever. For all that I tease you about some of those things, especially, man, I still go back to the finding you at your desk watching YouTube, weeping over a documentary. It still gives me a giggle. I admire that about you. I am impressed with that about you. I also know this relationship can never have gotten to this point with this level of communication and this level of open and honesty. And sometimes I think both of us are like, I wish we could be a little less honest with one another. If you hadn't done the work, weren't so in touch with your emotions, weren't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know who needs to hear to just like go work on yourself and like get in touch with your fucking emotions. But consider this, whoever that person is out there, consider this your sign, okay? Because that's not the reason we have a happy, healthy power exchange relationship. The reason we have a happy, healthy power exchange relationship is because we're willing to work on it. We're willing to compromise where we need compromise. We're willing to push back where we need to push back. We are a safe space for each other, always. Right. Even when we forget and we are imperfectly human, and one of us, and it can be either of us, is a judgy bitch, okay? Not just me. Sometimes he's a judgy bitch, y'all. But deep, like, you having that emotional intelligence for yourself and that willingness to just be your full self adds to that and has made it easier to have all of the other things. Because I'm not also fighting constantly to go, but how do you really feel? What do you really mean when you say that? What is really going on? Like, we don't have those conversations, but every once in a while, and it's usually big moments, usually when you're terrified. Me, around here with you, everybody else not so much. With you, open fucking book, you wish I'd shut up. I know. The book is so open, it's like, can we put a bookmark here and like come back later?
Right, come back, take a pause.
But we've already established I am a lot registered trademark. It's fine. But yeah, I've learned that about you over the years, slowly but surely, because it's built. The longer we've been together, the more shit we've been through.
Right.
You've never tried to hide that from me. And I think that's a factor, a big factor in why the rest of it can all happen. Are there other things we could say? Sure, but this is too big. And believe me, we're going to hit other 10-year plus anniversaries, so we'll save it. We'll save it for that.
There you go.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Dottie?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I got. We'll do a bonus section.
Okay.
I don't know if this helped anybody or did anything for anybody, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I can't stop staring at you and smiling like a big dumbass. It's great. It's great.
Goofball.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay. So are we?
I have no idea what we are.
Okay.
Keep it kinky, y'all. And we'll see you next week. Dottie.
Yes, baby girl.
Can I talk to the crickets, please?
You're not talked out? You're not out of breath?
Have I ever? Like, when was the last time you saw me actually talked out?
Yeah, never. Hasn't happened yet.
I'm sure. You know when it has happened? When we've gone to conventions. 3-day conventions. By the end of the third day.
That's true. That's true.
I'm ready to hide in a corner. Put the blanket over my head. But that takes 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah.
That's
And jet
true.
lag. Jet lag in 3 days.
Yeah.
And then I'm done. Until then, I could probably keep going.
Let's take a 3-day trip.
Let's just take a 3-day trip. We
Yeah,
haven't taken a trip together since before COVID.
I know.
Well, we have, but they're not
Well,
it's not the same.
No.
It's not the same.
Mm-mm.
And we haven't taken 3-day trips. Have we? No.
No.
No. No, we haven't.
No. But at any rate, go ahead. Talk to the crickets.
I was going to say something, and I think I said, don't worry, I'll talk about that in the bonus section. Was it about the kinkery?
I believe so.
We had a sale, y'all. And technically, as we're recording this, we still have about 12 hours left of the sale. And in the best case scenario, and our wildest hopes and dreams, they all came true.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all have kicked our ass.
And we enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it. Oh, it was consensual, and I'm here for that. I'm happy to be the bottom in that situation. We were talking about this. So we started our Black Friday sale last Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And it exploded for us, and it was great. Thanks to anybody and everybody who made a purchase or just told somebody about it. That is helpful too. And it just never stopped. The orders kept coming in. We did take Thanksgiving Day off. And then we've just started and never stopped. We've run out of supplies. We've run out of product. I've fielded more customer emails than in the past week than I probably have in the past year. And it's been wonderful and lovely.
Right.
But you and I were talking about it because this is a sale and it's the holidays. It's not going to be like this all the time. And you were saying after the woodshed, you felt like you were having a bit of a drop because you'd done all that work to get us ready for this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the big event at the woodshed, and then there was the drop from it.
Yeah.
I can feel my drop coming, and I'm doing my best to extend everything a little bit longer so maybe I don't have to drop. And that's because we've been busy. There's a reason there was no topic until an hour before we started recording. I've just been in kinkery mode for a solid week, and it's wonderful, and I fucking loved it. It's amazing. Could the rest of life stop while that's happening, though? That would be great too.
Yeah.
But I know that it's winding down. We're at the last day of the sale. The numbers, are dropping because that's what they do. It's all fine. This is not actually a problem, but I know that tomorrow, when there's no sale, and the orders go back to a more normal level,
And you're just gonna.
I'm gonna sink like a stone. That drop's gonna be hard, and I am already dreading it. I'm already dreading it.
I better set up a line for you with unlimited Diet Cokes.
Yeah, and potato chips. That's what I stress eat. It's the crunch. Yes, I could get that crunch from carrots or crackers or something. They do not taste like potato chips. When you find me a carrot that tastes like a potato chip, I'll eat that for my crunch need. But yeah. Oh gosh, Tayshu asked for a total blast from the past. An emoji of the day. I don't know. Is there like a number 10 in the emojis? I don't know. Or is there like an anniversary emoji? Or is there like an education learning emoji? One of those. Tayshu goes, sounds like we need a small business holiday sales salami. It's a type of aftercare salami, and if you're like, what the fuck is aftercare salami, you need to go listen to the Pink King podcast and let Rara and Dara explain it, because I'm not even gonna try. And now Mr. Spock wants potato chips too. See, I am an influencer. Okay. Little Miss found a 10 emoji.
Well, let's see.
Emoji of the week.
And then there's that emoji.
That emoji, as if anybody who can hear the sound of your voice knows what you're talking about.
All right, yeah. The monocled emoji.
The monocle. I love to use that one sometimes sarcastically. So, what have you got? I'm fighting off drop with a sword and shield at this point. That's all I got. My brain is fuzzy. It's fuzzy around the edges.
I don't have time for it now.
I know. I have a list of things I need you to go make in your magical shop.
I know you do.
Because we've run out of things, and it's a great problem to have.
And I've been making. And last night, we went out and bought a new kitchen sink and faucet.
Because so you have to understand, part of the backstory is the faucet, it feels like it's as old as the 17-year-old, if not older, and falling apart. We've needed to replace it.
Yeah.
The sink, we fucking hate. We hated it when we moved in. We fucking hate it.
Yeah.
But also, there's a leak that has to be fixed.
We came home Tuesday night from shopping, and we were putting stuff away and went under the sink, and you made an exclamation about
there's something wet.
Something wet down here.
The one thing you don't want to hear when you're near a sink.
Right. Or at least under a sink. So I got down there and started handing her stuff, and towards the front didn't find anything, and as we got further to the back, there was a pretty good sized puddle of water. And the sink and faucet are original to the house.
Are they really?
I would venture that.
Oh gosh.
That they are original. And we have had some work done under there a few times, and we've known the faucet especially, has lived a long life and has served well, but it was starting to...
It needs to be retired.
It was ready for retirement, and after seeing the leak and being able to find out where the leak was coming from, it's like, this, could have probably had it fixed, but...
Let's just replace the whole damn thing.
It's just the point, well, fix this, where is it going to start next? And we've got a new sink and faucet.
And I was so busy doing other things. I know you called the plumber.
I did.
When are they coming?
A week from tomorrow. Yeah.
I had hoped they would come sooner. I'm sad now.
Well, for now the leak is contained.
Yeah.
And water isn't spewing everywhere. Thankfully, it's a somewhat slow leak.
It's still a leak.
I know. There's
also, we've told this story before about how our shower in our bathroom does not have a shower door. And we need to put up a new one, and we're putting it up ourselves. A few weeks ago, we purchased said door. Still have not put that up. We need to put that up. Also, we have a ton of leaves, and we usually were taking them to the dump because they do yard waste and stuff. And we mutually decided, sure, we'll do a compost heap. We have all the things to make that little fancy thing. We have not done that yet either.
No.
what else? I feel like there's other things.
Oh,
that
there's
we're like,
always-
Oh, we're supposed to do that. We have not done that yet either.
Always other things.
It's like, but we
And-
did manage to go part of our grocery shopping on Tuesday. Not all of it. I
Yeah.
still have to go to Walmart, but
Uh-huh.
got part of the grocery shopping
Yeah.
done.
And poor Kayla, she was like, if we get this sink, can you put it in? Can we put it in? It's like, I have put sinks and faucets in before.
It would be cheaper if we could do it. Yeah.
And I have the know-how. I know what to do. I know how to do it. I have the tools to do it. Unfortunately, right now, I am physically unable to do it.
If you got down on the floor and couldn't get back up,
Crawled up under that sink, I'd pretty much be living there.
Yeah, because you had your doctor's appointment, and they all want to know how you're even still walking with
Right.
your back. So yeah, maybe let us not make you twist into a pretzel to get under the sink.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See, it's all about service here.
Yeah.
I want to give you what you want.
Right.
But the shower door we are going to do.
That we are going to do, and that we should
Eventually.
be able to do. It's just between, and again, I am not complaining about this, between everything going on, keeping up with the shop right now. Both boys have stuff going on going into the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And it has just been a flurry of activity.
But you know what we did manage to do, and I think it's because it was Thanksgiving, and we did it. We haven't finished it yet, but we will. We started a new Netflix show
We did.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, like, can I critique it and pick it apart and find some things that I wish they had done differently? Yes, but in general, such a good show. You say you think we have 2 episodes left to watch. I think we only have 1, but either way, we're almost to the end.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping tonight is the night we can sit and watch. That I hope it's something that they bring back for a second season. I don't know if it's like just a 1-season limited thing or not. It has been so good.
It's been a really, really good show.
Jenna
Yes.
Ortega is a great Wednesday
Yeah.
Addams. And things that have gone on in the show have brought up so many questions about what does this mean and what is this going to mean later and what is happening here and I want to know more and it's been so good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's been
It's
good.
been a good show.
And we talked about it. We haven't made plans to, but I want to see, because I think it's on Netflix as well, the movie, The School of Good and Evil, I think it's called. Apparently it's based on a book. I don't know, because I've barely been reading. I'm not keeping up with any of that. But yeah, so we did take time to sit down and actually watch some TV. Mm-hmm. For the first time in a very long time.
It was kind of nice, with the exception of packing orders. We kind of took from Thanksgiving. We
took the weekend. Yeah, we
kinda
mostly
took
just
the
focused
weekend
on
off.
orders.
Yeah,
for
I
the
mean,
weekend.
mostly just focused on orders, and it was really kind of nice.
It was nice. It was. We probably should do that more often.
Yeah.
We for real suck at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just glad to find a show that we could like sink into and binge. Now there's another show we've been watching on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. We binged it at first and then everything got wild. So we've been a few episodes behind and we've had to catch up. And that's called Avenue 5.
Avenue 5.
It
yes.
is, apparently you and I each enjoy absurdity
Yes.
in shows, because some of our favorite shows have just been like, it's like a fucked up fever dream. You're like, what is even happening here? And Avenue 5 is one of those shows. It's got how many seasons? 3, 4? We're watching the
We're
most recent
watching
season.
the most recent season, second season.
Is that only the second?
believe
Why
it-
did I think it was more than that?
I believe
Okay.
it's the second season. Yeah.
Either way, they're on a spaceship that's a cruise ship in space. It's shenanigans left and right.
Yes.
Hugh Laurie, who alternates in the show on purpose between British accent and American accent, is, air quote this, the captain, but now he's been elected the supreme leader dictator.
Right.
It is absurd, and it is so good.
Yeah, because now they're technically lost in space.
Right.
Yeah.
Except the American government, or whatever it's called now, because it's not fully American government anymore, is trying to blow them out of the fucking galaxy. It's, oh my God.
Yep.
So good.
And Josh Gad
Yeah.
is in that too, and he is hilarious.
Yeah, he. If I'm picking favorite characters, Hugh Laurie's character, the captain, is my favorite. Others I like better than Josh Gad's character, but he is meant to be obnoxious and unlikable, and he's doing it very well.
He plays that part very well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And you know, I didn't seek this thing out. I was just kind of surfing around trying to find something, and I saw this pop up, and I saw that it had Hugh Laurie in it, and I always enjoyed his character, you know, when he was House.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it can't hurt to check it out, and you know, watch the first episode, and I was like,
you were sucked in, and then I got sucked in, and now we're both sucked in.
And you were kind of like, you watch the craziest shit. You watch the craziest shit.
You do. That is not a lie.
And next thing I know, you're sitting on the sofa next to me watching it.
And I think there was at one point we were binging, and I was like, we can't go to bed yet. Something is happening here.
Right.
Are they about to get blown up? And I think that was just season 1.
Yeah.
The show is called Avenue 5. It's on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. It's absurd, and it's so funny. And maybe it's because we're just exhausted, and maybe that's why maybe somebody who would watch it fresh would be like, it's not that funny. I don't know. We find it hilarious.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think
because it's absurd.
I think because it is so absurd.
Yeah, it's totally stupid. Like, none of it's plausible.
No.
And that's and yet some things are plausible. When the people on board, the people who are there on the cruise, not the crew, but the
passengers.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. The passengers. There are times when they lose their shit. Like, they become like part of the masses that like become thoughtless and mindless and
the whole
and you're like, yeah, that would happen. That's plausible.
A good part of it, what makes it so absurd and funny at the same time, it takes, you know, real things of human nature, and it blows it up. It exaggerates it to the nth degree.
The extreme.
You know,
extreme.
But it is it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It is, and I think part of the hilarity is when I recognize, oh yeah, human nature. Mm-hmm. We would probably do shit like that. We've probably done shit like that and just didn't notice.
Right.
Like when Hugh Laurie starts out as like the fake captain. He's not the real captain. So it's all like convoluted. And then in the end, not the end, but before this next episode we're about to watch, series of things happen and he's made the legitimate captain by the passengers, but they literally acknowledge he's meant to be a dictator, and he's going, I don't want to be a dictator. What are we doing?
Yeah. The thing is, I'm not giving too much away, but, you know, not going to give any spoilers for anybody who wants to check it out. Part of the thing is he's a kind of like a token captain, because supposedly the ship doesn't need a captain because it runs itself.
Right, but the passengers didn't know that at first.
Right.
Yeah, the season 1 is uncovering what's real, what's not. Season 2, I don't even know how to describe the theme. It just got crazier and more absurd. Yep. It's been good. It's been good. Wednesday, love it. Yeah. I think I would watch it again. Like, I would turn around and watch Wednesday again. Yeah. I won't because I don't have time, but I would. Avenue 5, that's been wild. And then I think we talked about this because we did the Friday night live stream this past Friday right after Thanksgiving, but you went on a Star Trek movie binge
Thanksgiving Day,
the Jean-Luc Picard era. Thank you for picking that one. Holy shit. So yeah, but yeah, you took your days off and went, I'm gonna actually relax.
Yeah.
Proud of you. Look at you. One day I'll do that too.
I'm growing up.
You are. You're gonna be a big boy one day. You got anything else for the bonus section?
No.
We could keep going because y'all know, but we're gonna stop because there's still shit to do.
Yeah.
There's still shit to do.
Back out in the shop and after we stop recording.
I know you were like, I know that I just got back on kid pickup duty for the first time in 2 months, but could you do pickup duty on Wednesdays? And I I sighed through gritted teeth.
You did the.
I did a you. I was like,
You were totally me at that moment.
I was
Yep.
trying to be supportive and understanding and also very annoyed. But then I got confirmation. I went, for how long? You're like, just through the holidays. Just while I need to be making more shit. And I went, okay, just through the holidays. It's fine.
I was even out in the shop doing stuff before we recorded.
I know. I got worried. I was like, does he know it's record day? Does he know we're streaming? What the fuck? What the fuck? And yet, any other day, I'd be like cracking the whip and be like, get some shit done. I got a list. Psh. I mean, in my most service of myself way.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna go. Thanks, y'all, for listening, watching, however you're consuming this to the bitter end. We appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for putting up with the chaos. I will give you a spoiler. I believe next week will be a Q&A episode. So if you follow us at that handle I fucking hate over on Instagram and have a question, just watch our stories. We'll put it up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.